Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin, and joining me live on the phone, I welcome our Director of Finance, Mark Milne. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did you have a nice holiday weekend?
It was wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, the weather was perfect, wasn't it?
It really was. It really was. It's going to be a hot one today, too. So, Mark, let's talk a little bit about Open Budget. I know that we've had this software up and running for several months now, and I think we're going to start to see some more reports come out of that. So, first, let's kind of refresh our viewers' memories as to what Open Budget's all about.
Sure. This is an effort on behalf of the town to make our operating and capital budgets more transparent to citizens and other interested groups out there that may want to track and monitor our budgetary performance for our general fund and our 8 enterprise funds, both the revenue side and the expenditure side, and also see what we've been doing for capital improvements over the past several years. We have several years of capital appropriations on the website. People can track those appropriations and see how much money we've spent against those. They can see some project images in many cases as to what was done with the money, how it was financed, whether it was a bond issue or funded from town reserves, et cetera, as well as the Community Preservation Fund appropriations. We've put all of that out there in an effort to be more transparent and educate our citizens as to how the town derives its resources and how they're used.
Absolutely. And so, as an example of that, I have a piece of paper in front of me that kind of shows a summary from June 19th. And this, I think, is one of the most interesting features of it is to be able to see how much of the budget was approved and then how much was expended. And especially at June 19th, we're getting towards the end of the fiscal year, and you can really see how close we are to making those budget goals.
How are we doing? Are we okay?
Looks like you're okay.
Yeah.
Looks like you're just fine.
Yeah, we've actually, every operating budget is coming within its budget allocation for fiscal year 16. With the exception of one, we have had some challenges with the Water Enterprise Fund due to the PFAS contamination out of their wells in Mary Dunn area. So we have incurred some additional unanticipated expenditures there, which will require more funding to close out the fiscal year. But other than that, everything has fallen within its budgetary appropriation as originally planned.
Absolutely. And also on the sheet that I have in front of me is highlighting a project at the Early Learning Center. And again, that's kind of an example of what you were talking about a few moments ago, is that people really can get in and look at some of those capital projects and see, kind of the project timeline in terms of from idea to funding to shovels in the ground, that sort of thing, and where the funding comes from. And I think that is such a valuable tool for people who are really curious about how those projects get done here in town.
Yeah, that's my personal favorite part of the whole website is that feature on the capital program. It really gives you an opportunity to see where geographically the project is based, how large it is, how it was financed, images of, in some cases, before and after. We have photos. We're continuously building on that library of photos. And one of the additional features we talked about with the website provider of this program is that we would like to start thinking about producing short videos and adding videos to the website as well. Perhaps interviewing a project manager about what this project's all about and what we plan on accomplishing with it. So again, there's another added benefit to the users out there as to how the town's using the money and how it's going to benefit the town in the long run.
Absolutely, and really just such a great source of information. I love the idea of having short videos and even just 30 seconds of the project manager talking about the project, and not only for current but also for archives if you want to go back and look at some history. What a great way to kind of preserve some of the history of these projects.
Sure, yeah, and the other things we're thinking of doing with it too is highlighting an interesting data set and adding that to the monthly Barnstable bulletin that we produce, which you're probably familiar with.
Of course.
And some of the other things we're in a mode right now of trying to promote the website to get more users and directed towards it, so they can explore, what the town has to offer here, and hopefully, it'll reduce any, requests that we get for budgetary information, because it's all right here now, right down to the line item.
So do we have any data, any statistics, Mark, on how many people have been looking at the website, how many people have been using the Open Budget website?
Yeah, we do have a Google Analytics account set up, and we have been tracking its usage. We have so far had several hundred page views on this. Sometimes it's as many as a couple hundred a day. We have a lot of unique sessions. People coming in and viewing it for the first time, and actually staying on it for several minutes at a time. So which indicates that they're going in there and they're exploring it, and not just bouncing right back out and coming to it by accident and getting bounced out. So I think what that's called our bounce rate is about a little less than 50%, and that's people somehow fall to the website, but that's not where they wanted to go. So we have a rate of users higher than 50% that are actually going there and actually using the website and drilling down into it at several different page levels. So I'm just learning how to read Google Analytics, so it's been interesting.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely showing some activity there, and there's also a map that shows that we're being viewed by communities across the country, because I'm sure other communities are exploring doing something like this, and so they're probably going to our website and drilling down into it and seeing what it's all about.
Sure.
But obviously, predominant number of users are here in Massachusetts, and specifically in Barnstable.
Absolutely. And am I correct in remembering, Mark, that the folks who created the Open Budget software are particularly proud of the way in which our town is using this Open Budget software?
Yeah, we're using it very uniquely. When it comes to the capital program, nobody else is using it like we're using it. Most communities who have incorporated the capital program are using it as a 5-year planning tool. They're just showing the community, this is what we plan to do for the next 5 years. They're not actually showing the appropriations and the project status and how much expended against it year to date like we are. So that's completely different. And the idea about adding videos, they were intrigued by that too, because nobody's doing that. And they think that's a great idea, and they're going to try to modify the software program that will allow that. That'll be an easy enhancement on their part, I believe. So we're working with them to see if we can do that. But then we're going to have to get out and actually do some videos.
That's right. Well, I think you've got some staff on hand that's ready to help you out with that.
Yes.
So
I might be talking to one.
Perhaps. So I mean, in terms of how frequently is it updated, and how much effort does it take to make sure this is current? I understand it really kind of is updated in a real-time format.
Yeah, the operating budgets for revenues and expenditures are updated every Sunday night. We've written a query that grabs the information right out of our Munis database with the help of our information technology department staff, who have been fantastic throughout this whole process. They've automated that whole section of the program for us, so there's very little lifting on our part in having to update this. We're in the process of updating it right now, obviously, because we got to add the FY17 budget to it, which we haven't done yet. So the query has to be modified by the IT staff in order to include FY17. We're working on that now, but then that's all automated. The capital program, on the other hand, is not automated. It's semi-automated, and we go in there once a month and we update that. There's just not as much activity, obviously, on the capital budget side, so there's no need to have it automated. And the queries that would have to be written to automate the capital program would be highly complicated, and so we find that it takes about 15 minutes on a monthly basis to update that side.
Sure. So that's 15 minutes every month, not too terrible. So, Mark,
No.
I guess the final question I have for you is, where can people find the Open Budget website?
Yeah, they can go to the town's homepage, and there's a link to the Open Budget right on the upper right-hand side of the town's homepage. It says Open Budget. They just click on that, and it'll take them directly to the town's Open Budget website.
Excellent. Well, Mark, I thank you so much, as always, for joining us here on Barnstable This Morning, and we will check in with you again next week. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mark Milne, of course, is our Director of Finance, joining us here on Barnstable This Morning. That open budget website is so cool.
So neat.
It's so cool.
It really gives access to, anyone in town to
Indeed.
find out more about our budget process.
Absolutely, and it makes it easy to understand. So here we are halfway through the show. Sarah Colvin here with Sarah Mantle. Time for Community Calendar.
And boy, do I have some great things.